we had the privilege of sitting down and talking with Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games to talk all things Finspan, drama, Vantage, and more. For some reason, my camera decided to record in the lowest quality possible for the video, but trust me, it's a good watch and a great chat. Hope you enjoy. Let's get right to it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Board Game Animal. I'm Justin, and we have the privilege of chatting with Jamey Stegmaier today. Hi, Jamey.
Hey, Justin, it's great to be here.
Thank you so much for doing this. So, obviously, the thing on everyone's mind, everyone's talking about, is Finspan. Very
Yeah.
excited about Finspan. That was a big announcement. Look at that. I love it. I actually had a brief moment when I first saw it posted that I said,
Uh,
wait a minute, I hope this is real. Because the first comment I saw, I was questioning it. And then I said, oh, wait, this is the official account.
yeah. My
So,
favorite, a number of people, I've heard certainly heard the comment that people thought it was a joke, um, and or an April Fool's joke, an early April Fool's joke. And the ultimate irony there is that at Stonemaier Games, whenever we have an April Fool's product, we actually make it. It isn't just a joke. So even if it was just a joke, it would also be a real product.
right. That's hilarious. Now, I know you've been touching on a lot of the details, and there are some, turn-by-turn playthroughs and things online for Finspan. And there's a lot of really interesting mechanisms. I'm obsessed with the personal discard piles. That's really
Yeah.
cool. What would you say is the thing you're most excited for people to experience with this?
Well, one of the things that I would say is, I mean, there are a lot of things that I'm really excited about that I'm excited for people to play, including the personal discard piles that you mentioned. One thing that does really stand out in my mind between this and its predecessors, Wingspan and Wormspan, are the way the tokens work. Unlike those other games, you can hatch eggs into something. So you can hatch an egg into a little young token, and then that young can actually move around the board. It can swim around the board and consolidate into schools, and then schools can even move around the board too. You don't often do that all that often, but they can move around the board as well. So just having this living board that's kind of fluctuating, kind of like the ocean, where things drift around and move around a lot, I think is a great representation of the aquatic theme.
That's cool. Yeah, that sounds really neat. Looking forward to doing that. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, the perhaps elephant fish in the room, is you have touched a bit on perception.
Yes.
And when Finspan was announced, I was actually even brought back a year ago to the announcement of Wormspan. And there's that moment where people see the cover, see the name, make a judgment call, and that's it, and have something to say about it. So my question that I've been dying to ask you is, did you expect that with Finspan? What was the thought there of that response? Did you think it was inevitable to see that?
I was definitely more prepared for it for Wingspan than Wormspan. I think maybe I was optimistic that people would have gotten it out of their system for Wormspan, that we might continue this brand, continue exploring this brand in other worlds, other themes, and that they would realize after Wormspan that we're not just reskinning the game. We're not just taking the same exact mechanisms from Wingspan and putting different art and different names on the cards. There's a lot of work that goes into this. Designers spent 3 years working on Finspan. Connie worked for 2 years on Wormspan. So I was hopeful, and I guess I was naive because people kind of dug in even deeper on this one. Not all people. I think a vocal minority of people, but uh, yeah, I guess that's the internet for you. And it was a little surprising. You mentioned that you heard me talk on my live cast earlier today. It was a little surprising, partially because there are so many series of games, brands of games that people love and people embrace. And I don't necessarily hear the same amount of vitriol that surrounds them when they announce a new, I don't know, a new Dune Imperium, a new Great Western Trail, a new Azul. I don't necessarily hear that, but I hear it for Wormspan. I heard it for Finspan recently. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. And I've thought the same thing because to be completely honest with you, I had recorded an entire review of Wormspan that never went up on the channel because I was kind of taken up with the drama at the time, and I was like, I don't want this to be a review where I'm excitedly talking about a game that I focus on a lot of negative.
Yeah.
And I'm now going to be doing a retrospective on it a year later. And I'm looking forward to doing it because spoiler alert, we love Wormspan. It was a lot of fun. But I remember my thoughts last year and my thoughts now are the same. I look at my shelf of all my games and I say, it is so hard to find one game on the shelf that doesn't have a sequel, a reimplementation, an expansion, and people don't say anything about it. I
Yeah.
I have, 400 Dominions on the shelf,
Right.
and nobody says a word about it. So I don't know, but that's something that for me, I think my biggest pet peeve with it is anytime I see someone leave a negative review on a game on BGG and they haven't played it,
Mm.
I say I can't take it seriously. But that's me. A
Yeah.
silly phrase, and I'm trying to have this take off. Is something I said to my kids as kind of like a passing joke. My wife and I were playing Dominion,
Uh-huh.
coincidentally, and they were arguing with each other about something, and I said, "Guys, kindness costs nothing, like a copper in Dominion."
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And so that phrase actually came to my mind when I see some of the negativity, and I'm like, "It's just silly. Kindness costs nothing, right?"
Yeah, I really like that phrase. While I do struggle with what you said, ratings of games that someone hasn't
Yeah.
played, what I deem as unnecessary and inaccurate vitriol around the game, I will say that I'm totally okay with people playing Finspan and not liking it. There are going to be people who play Finspan and they're like, "This is not for me. I don't like it." And I hope reviewers feel free to express those opinions far and wide. I think that's the wonderful thing about reviews and opinions that we can express ourselves. But I appreciate when people are informed about those opinions rather than just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm 100% with you because at the end of the day, not every game is for everyone, you know,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
am have utmost respect for that. My favorite game of all time, my best friend gives a two, so it happens, and that's fine. But as long as you've played it, like you said, that
Yeah.
informed opinion. That being said, though, I'll spin it positive here because I think you have a wonderful sense of humor. Because I love when you even did the video of your favorite spans, like the fan
Uh,
made spans. So what would you say the sense of humor brings to it? Like you think that helps through the process?
it does. Like it started last year with Wormspan, all the memes around it, and I think a meme is actually a really fun way to poke fun at something that you might think is a little odd, but also have fun with it. And so I've loved seeing the memes for Wormspan. I love seeing the memes for Finspan. That's been a lot of fun to see. So I certainly try to have a good sense of humor about
Right.
it. Yeah.
Now, one question, this was the other thing that you had touched on in one of your videos, was you wear many hats.
Yeah.
I know you're a designer. You develop all of these games with Stonemaier. You actively put up content on your YouTube channel and it's good stuff. How do you do it all?
I, well, I think a big part of it is I like doing it. I like creating a variety of things. I
Mm.
think you summarized it really well there. I like that I have the opportunity to create some videos, to create some blog posts on a regular basis, to design games, to develop games, to work on product design. And I also like businessy stuff too. I like the marketing side. I like project management. So for me, I think the variety of it is really crucial to my happiness. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I want to try mixing up things and try new things and just having a good variety in my day. So that variety keeps me coming back for more and keeps me working a fair number of hours every day. But because of the variety, I enjoy that time that I get to spend on my work.
Well, that's good. And I think that particularly what you said there shines through because you said you enjoy it. And
Mhm.
sometimes people doing that, you can see on their face that they're not. And I
Yeah.
think you always have the enthusiasm. I love watching the videos. And you're thorough too. So it's not just here's an announcement about a game and we move on. You're very thorough and you kind of cover all your bases. So that's something I think that fans of your games, as a whole, really appreciate. So it's impressive, like I said, because there's such a variety there to what you do.
Thanks. I appreciate you saying that. Something
No,
I mentioned just in a recent blog post too about content creation was I kind of encouraged my fellow content creators to remember to find the joy in what they're doing. And if it gets to be a grind, realize that like you don't have to make a video this week if it feels like a grind. You could just play a game for fun, and that's okay too. So um, yeah, I've tried to embrace the joy in what I do.
no, that's fantastic. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention was humorously, and you beat me to it in one of your videos. as bad as it may be, my first thought when I saw Finspan was we're getting another Rolling Realms realm. And then I was
Oh
like, I
yeah,
sure hope we are.
yeah.
And then
Uh-huh.
you had talked about it, and then I know, yeah, you had shown the pack with Rolling Realms.
Mhm.
How do you feel about how far that's come in these few years? Because I know that came as a product of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and then you had the Stonemaier games involved, and now we can do rock paper scissors and then follow that up with Feast for Odin. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of mind boggling that the worlds that coalesce that never would in any other circumstance. So what has that been for you?
As you said that, it hit me. I've kind of embraced the surprise that Rolling Realms has been. It's been one of my most played games over the last few years because I do live plays of it now on a monthly basis. But I hadn't really thought about something until you just said that, which is 12 years ago when I started Stonemaier Games, or a little bit longer than that. If you had told me that I would get to work, that I would get to create a game that was connected to so many other amazing games in the industry and so many other amazing designers, I would not believe you. Like you mentioned, A Feast for Odin, that I would get to create a game that has a mini game based on a game from one of my favorite designers, and that goes for many, many of the mini games in Rolling Realms. I would be in disbelief. So I'm kind of glad you said that because it's worth celebrating and being grateful on my part for having that opportunity. And I do think it's pretty cool. Yeah, that I've had the chance to do that.
Yeah, it's really fun. I that game has been special for my son and I actually. He really likes playing it. And he was tickled beyond belief because his special interest in life is bats. And he played
Oh,
Ottawa from Uwe
yeah.
Rosenberg. So when the Redux was announced in in the like the cover, I'm trying to remember the first time I discovered it because he already liked playing Rolling Realms.
Uh,
And I said, "Do you see what's on the cover?" And he was ecstatic
that's awesome.
to see that. So yeah, it's just kind of a surreal thing to have so many games represented there, and I just love that you never know what's going to be added next.
Yeah. Although at this point, you kind of know because we've stopped as much as I love that we've made all these realms based on other
Yes, yeah,
companies. We have so many at this point, so that I kind of put a hold on doing that for a little while, just to maybe probably just focus on Stonemaier games for the future. But you
sure,
never know.
yeah. One thing I like, and this is a little bit of a segue into another topic, but I love the fact that you have one based on your cats. I just think that that is a special thing. I mean, it's no surprise here that we love our animals. So anytime
Uh,
that I see other folks in the board game hobby with their pets, like it's kind of like a warm, fuzzy feeling.
yeah.
Because for us, I had wanted to do something with board games, and my kids
Mhm.
had wanted me to do something with our animals. And I said, it may be silly and ridiculous, but I'll just mix them and do both. So that's just been my thing. Anytime I see that, I love it. And I love your, weekly cat updates
Uh,
and stuff like that.
Thank you.
So it's always nice to see a proud pet parent.
Do you have a recent game that's connected to your pets or pets in general that you're excited about?
Oh wow.
Or an upcoming one? Yeah.
Just you mean like an animal related game in general, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Something that you're excited about from the perspective of your channel, your content.
so well, yeah. In I mean in general, we have our uh top 10 most anticipated games of 2025 video coming up very soon. That I
Okay.
actually it was going to be up last week, and I purposely redid it to include Finspan because I said
Oh.
I I
Uh-huh.
couldn't not do that. But yeah, there are quite a few games that are coming out this year that I'm excited about. One is Enthroned from Smirk and Dagger.
Okay.
There is very little out there, but they were kind of demoing, not demoing it, but showing it off at PAX Unplugged.
Cool.
And I have some funny ideas incorporating our pets into that,
Uh-huh.
into for a video for that when that happens. But that's it's
Nice.
going to be a ways away.
Okay. That's cool.
But yeah, so speaking of things on the horizon, I
Mhm.
know Vantage is something a lot of people are looking forward to. Uh,
Yeah.
what would you say with Vantage is something that um, that stands out as different from your other games? Because that was actually another funny thing. Just to jump back for a second about the whole Finspan just being a new version of Wingspan thing. That cracks me up because of the variety in Stonemaier's games, but Vantage especially seems to stand out to me. What do you say about that?
Well, first, I want to give you credit to your viewers because Justin was very kind. Originally, yesterday, Justin and I were due to have this interview at the same time, and I was waiting for the Vantage pre-production copy to arrive. I don't think I told you that was the reason, but I was waiting for it to arrive because it's a really important moment in the game's production cycle where we get this pre-production copy. My coworkers come over and we play test it, mainly looking for last minute changes that we need to make before we enter the game in mass production. It's fairly time sensitive, it's fairly important.
Hmm.
The delivery was due to arrive right before our interview was originally scheduled, and then it kept getting bumped back and bumped back. And so I have to admit, it didn't actually happen. I was waiting, tracking this thing, waiting for it to happen, and I was going to call my coworkers and have them come over right away. Didn't happen. Didn't show up until 6 o'clock last night, but it did finally show up. So I thank you I appreciate you rescheduling while I'm like waiting for this thing to arrive. Um, and it finally did. We're going to do the playtest today
Hmm.
after this call. And yeah, Vantage is the game that I've worked on for the last 8 years. It's something that I've tried really hard to make really special, and something that I there's no way that I could repeat something like this because I spent so much time creating a world of 800 different first-person locations, all with unique art, and 900 different other cards, most of which also have unique art that you can discover as you explore this world. It's not a campaign game. It's just you sit down, you crash on this planet, you explore it for a few hours, and that's the game. Um, and I've left a lot of it a mystery. I've explained a lot of ideas around the game, but I've left a lot of mystery. I want people to have that sense of true discovery and exploration when they land on this planet. And the game is built around that concept.
Yeah, that is so fascinating to me because the thing that for me at first I was like, oh, my brain does not want to compute this is that number of cards that you just mentioned. And then the fact that it's not a campaign because I think we're all used to seeing these massive games that have, decks of cards this thick. And it's like, I probably won't ever see half of them because I'm not going to play past, through the whole campaign.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, okay, that is fascinating. I've come to find with time that I appreciate those one session games because, t again, time, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that disparity of the amount of content in Vantage compared to the fact that it's not a campaign, I am beyond excited for that. So, um, yeah, consider me on the list of having that being one of the people who are looking forward to discovering what that holds.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm very, very excited to see what people say about their discoveries in it. It's because I've been discovering it for so long, but I know everything that's in the world. Even when I play today, I'm excited to crash on the planet and see what I find because it's
Mhm.
literally too much content for me to remember what happens when I move in any direction or take any of the 6 actions on each location. It's too much. So I get to have fun exploring this world still too.
That is incredible. And that kind of leads me to one last question I wanted to ask you is,
Yeah.
forget any of the drama, forget any of that stuff. At the end of the day, every few months you get to announce a game that excites people. And I always appreciate the fact that, we don't even wait too long. Like once it's
Yeah.
announced, there's kind of that quick turnaround. What does it feel like to know that you're sitting on these things that every few months you're going to give like this serotonin boost to thousands of people? What is that like? Is there a lot of anticipation like to get to the next one, or is it satisfying each time?
It's a mix of emotions for sure. It is satisfying. It is exciting. It's also nerve-wracking. A lot of preparation goes into these announcements, especially this announcement period, where I'm revealing details about the product. Even Vantage, I spend a lot of time writing the monthly updates, and as soon as I send one out, I'm already thinking about the next monthly update that I might send about it. And overall, I would say I'm grateful too that there are people who follow along what we're making at Stonemaier Games and get excited about these things that we're making. So a mix of all those emotions goes into a big melting pot in my mind whenever we are leading up to a new announcement.
I can imagine it's a cornucopia of feelings, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and chat with us, Jamie. I really appreciate it. And thank you for keeping our tables, filled with a interesting variety of games. That's
Thank you, Justin.
yeah, there's been many a fantastic game night thanks to Stonemaier Games at our table. So I'll deeply appreciate that. And again, thanks for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It means a lot to hear that. And yeah, I hope you have a good gaming day today.
Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed our chat with Jamie. We have more chats on the way that we're very excited to share. Let me know if you like the format. And in the meantime, don't
Don't forget to play board games like an animal.